This is a video that introduces the idea of the tangential and normal components of acceleration. We'll start by remembering the scenario when we have a position vector function that traces out a path and its velocity has a constant magnitude. Remember, when any vector has a magnitude that's a constant, that means that that vector is going to be perpendicular to its own derivative. And since the derivative of velocity is acceleration, we can say then in this case that velocity and acceleration are perpendicular to each other. Now, when an object is moving along a path C and the velocity of that object is perpendicular to the acceleration, what that means is that there's no change in speed. And that makes sense intuitively as well because the magnitude of velocity is speed, and when the speed is a constant, that means that there's no change in speed. So this is a simple example of how that might look. If we have an object that's traveling around a circular path, we could get a position vector function here and consider the velocity vector function that is pointing in the direction of motion, but their magnitudes are going to be the same. If the velocity vector function has a constant magnitude, then all these vectors are going to be the same length. They're pointing in this counterclockwise direction, which means that the orientation of the circle is going to be counterclockwise. We're moving this direction around the outside of the circle. Now, since the velocities were constant magnitudes, that means that the velocity vectors are going to be perpendicular to the acceleration vectors, which means that the acceleration vectors are going to be pointing back to the center of the circle, basically in the opposite direction of the original position vector. When that's the case, the entire acceleration vector is contributing to the centripetal force. And remember, centripetal force means center seeking, or the force that is acting toward the center of the circle. In this situation, we don't have a push. The object is not being pushed forward, it's not being pushed backward, and that's why we're not speeding up or slowing down. So now let's take another look at a different scenario, one where the magnitude of the velocity vector is not a constant. So let's consider some path C. I have an object that's moving around the outside of the path, and its position can be modeled by this position vector function. Let's say in this case that the magnitude of the velocity is changing. So at this point, we're going to have a velocity vector that's pointing in the direction of motion, and its magnitude is representing the speed of the object at that time. But let's say then down here at a different point in time, we have a magnitude pointing in a different direction, but also that has a longer magnitude. Now, the way that we have it drawn, it looks like the speed is increasing, right? Because the magnitude of the first velocity vector is less than or smaller than the magnitude of the second velocity vector. So the object's speed is increasing as it moves along the path. So this is a scenario where the object is experiencing a push. And since it's speeding up, I'm going to draw this acceleration vector so that the angle between acceleration and the velocity is less than 90 degrees, so that they are in generally the same direction. The acceleration vector is pushing that object forward, causing an increase in speed. Now what we're going to do is we are going to decompose this acceleration vector into the sum of two other vectors. Now, one of the vectors is going to be a scalar multiple of somebody that we've seen before. Cap T vector is the unit tangent vector. And let's zoom in here a little bit to see where that might be. The unit tangent vector is a unit vector in the direction of the tangent line, or a unit vector in the direction of this velocity vector, right? So if we were to just shrink this velocity vector down to having a magnitude 1, that's going to be our cap T vector, a unit vector in the direction of the tangent line. The other vector that shows up here is cap n, and cap n is what we call the unit normal vector. Now let's zoom back in here again to see where that unit normal vector is. The unit normal vector is also a unit vector, but this one is going to be perpendicular to the tangent line, or perpendicular even to the unit tangent vector. So again, the unit normal vector is a unit vector, but its direction is perpendicular to the unit tangent vector. Now, in order to overemphasize what's going to happen next, I'm going to elongate our acceleration vector just a tad so that we can see what's going on here a little bit better. And what we're going to do now is to decompose this acceleration vector into the sum of two vectors. And we're going to add the two vectors together. One of them is going to be a scalar multiple of this unit tangent vector. So basically, I'm going to stretch this thing out to be just the right length so that when I drop a perpendicular from the tip of the acceleration vector back down to that velocity vector, I've got a vector that is the perfect length to meet that perpendicular. Now we're going to call this vector some scalar multiple of the unit tangent vector, right? We just stretched that unit tangent vector out to be the right length. And the name of the scalar multiple that we're using is called the tangential component of the acceleration vector. Now let's do the same thing in the direction of the unit normal vector. We're going to want to stretch this unit normal vector out so that it is long enough to complete this right triangle here. I'm trying to make this leg of this right triangle just a tad bit longer than the unit normal vector itself, because what it turns out to be is a scalar multiple of that unit normal vector, and the scalar that we multiply it by to ensure that it's long enough to complete this right triangle has a name, and that scalar multiple is called the normal component of the acceleration vector. So notice, if we take this vector and we add it to this vector, what we get is the acceleration vector. In other words, the acceleration vector can be decomposed into the sum of two vectors, one of which is a vector in the direction of the normal vector. So we'll say the normal component times as a scalar multiple of the unit normal vector, plus the other one is a scalar multiple of the unit tangent vector, so we'll say the tangential component of the acceleration vector. This scalar multiple is called the normal component of acceleration, and this scalar multiple is called the tangential component of acceleration. So here we have that summarized. Again, this is just a scalar multiple of the unit normal vector and a scalar multiple of the unit tangent vector. Now, these scalar multiples can be specifically calculated, of course. The formula to be used for calculating the normal component of acceleration is curvature, and let's recall here that k is the variable used for curvature, times the magnitude of velocity, which is, by the way, speed, quantity squared. And that's what we use to calculate that scalar multiple. To calculate the other scalar multiple, what we're going to do is we're going to take the speed scalar function, by the way. Once we look at the magnitude of the velocity vector, it's no longer a vector, now it's a scalar. The output is a scalar, and then we'll differentiate that scalar function. So the tangential component of acceleration is simply the magnitude of the velocity vector, and then we take the derivative of that scalar function. Now also, as a reminder, in order to calculate this curvature, there are several ways to do it. This is the formula that I use most often. However, this one comes into play a good bit as well. And as you may have guessed by now, finding the normal component of the acceleration vector and the tangential component of the acceleration vector can end up being a lengthy process, depending, of course, on how complicated the original position vector is. One more thing we need to make mention of here is that when the angle in between velocity and acceleration is an angle that's less than 90 degrees, we know that this is a scenario when we're speeding up. Now, when that's the case and we drop a perpendicular down to the velocity vector, and then we decompose the acceleration into a scalar multiple of the unit tangent vector and a scalar multiple of the unit normal vector. The scalar multiple of the unit tangent vector is the tangential component of the acceleration vector. So when that scalar multiple is a positive quantity, we're moving in the same direction as the tangent line, right? Our vector that we're using in the decomposition is in the same direction as tangent, and this is something that happens when our particle is speeding up. So we can say if the tangential component of acceleration is positive, the object is going to be speeding up as it moves along the curve. However, when we have an acceleration that is pushing back against the particle, When the angle between velocity and acceleration is greater than 90 degrees, this is a scenario when we're slowing down, right? The acceleration is pushing against the particle, slowing it down. This time when we decompose acceleration and we drop a perpendicular down to essentially the tangent line, and the velocity vector is in the direction of the tangent line, the perpendicular is dropped over here, the right triangle is built back this direction, and this time the vectors that add together to give me the acceleration vector includes a scalar multiple of t, but since t is in the same direction of velocity, this scalar multiple has to be negative to be going in the opposite direction. So when the tangential component of acceleration turns out to be a negative quantity, we're going to be a situation where the particle is slowing down as it moves around the curve. So we can look essentially at whether or not this is positive or negative right here. If this is positive, we're going to speed up. If this is negative, we're slowing down. And if the tangential component of the acceleration is 0, then that means there's no change in speed. So in our concept drawing here, that just means that the acceleration is exactly perpendicular to velocity, and all of the acceleration is in the direction of the normal vector. It's simply a scalar multiple of the normal vector with nothing in the direction of the unit tangent vector. So when the unit tangent vector is multiplied by a scalar that is 0, the entire acceleration vector is in the direction of the normal vector. And we use the scalar multiple of the normal vector when we're calculating centripetal force.